Have you heard of the Silent Hill Chatroom Incident? If you haven't, be prepared, because it is one of the weirdest and most controversial moments ever to come out of the Silent Hill fan community. It was a real-life, online meltdown so chaotic that it escaped the wiki it started on and spread across the internet. Theories turned into rants. Edits turned into tirades. Users tried to intervene but were met with accusations of censorship and satanic mind control. Before long, Reddit and 4chan caught wind of it, and what should have been a quiet fan space became disturbingly personal. If you want to know where the infamous Silent Hill Chatroom incident began, you have to go back to the Silent Hill wiki on fandom in late 2015. There was this longtime administrator who went by Alex Shepard, and he suddenly started editing a bunch of pages to cram in this huge, rambling 800-word essay about male circumcision. His core theory was that Walter Sullivan, the killer from Silent Hill 4, had been genitally mutilated as a baby, and that this trauma was the secret key to his entire psyche and the game's symbolism. Now, that alone would have been a pretty out-there fan theory, but he didn't stop there. He went way further, forcing this elaborate satanic and Illuminati conspiracy into the wiki's articles, claiming that the entire Silent Hill story was secretly about exposing the evil of circumcision and the shadowy global forces pushing it. What started as just one bizarre edit quickly spiraled, as the admin went on a spree, altering major pages to fit his personal theory and dragging completely unrelated topics into the game's lore. The page for Walter Sullivan was the first and most heavily changed. At one point, it contained a lengthy paragraph connecting circumcision to ancient occult rituals, and alleging that circumcision is a covenant with dark forces. Yeah, you heard right. Other pages were not spared. For instance, he added unsourced claims that Alex Shepard, the protagonist of Silent Hill Homecoming, was secretly homosexual due to circumcision trauma, complete with evidence, like monster designs representing his guilt. These edits were laden with speculation presented as fact, and often tagged with the wiki's speculation warning, though that did little to temper their content. It didn't take long for the wiki community to notice the very weird edits that were popping up. Initially, people were just confused and pretty skeptical, wondering what on earth circumcision had to do with the Silent Hill universe. The franchise is known for its psychological scares and cult-like themes, but this particular subject had never been part of the official story. Another editor deleted the out-of-place rant, which caused Alex Shepard to completely lose it. He immediately reverted the change and went on a furious tirade in the talk page, turning what should have been a calm discussion into a public, chatroom-style meltdown for all to see, looking a lot like a messy group chat gone wild. When Alex Shepard's wild theory that Silent Hill is about circumcision finally got challenged, he didn't back down. In fact, he went all out. On the wiki's discussion pages and forum threads, he just exploded with swear words and angry accusations against anyone who dared to question him. He accused other editors of trying to censor him, and then got really personal. To the user who had removed his content, he spat out, "You're a fucking horrible human being for advocating genital mutilation, and 99% of Americans who advocate mutilating penises are fucking brainwashed morons." He swore his view was the absolute truth, even comparing removing his rant to trying to delete the Holocaust article on Wikipedia, an over-the-top comparison that, predictably, didn't win him any fans. But as other wiki users and Silent Hill fans started to push back, and honestly they had every right since there's literally nothing in the games to back up a circumcision theory, he just seemed to unravel more, piling on new, even stranger ideas. He started posting these huge, rambling rants about Americans being brainwashed and mind-controlled, and flat-out claimed the US was a Satanist nation. He then insisted the entire Silent Hill franchise was actually about America falling into the hands of Satan and dark forces. In a truly bizarre move, he even warned users that Christmas was secretly Satan-miss, and that they were all puppets of Satanism. It was his way of trying to tie his anti-circumcision crusade into some bigger Illuminati/satanic conspiracy. The admin's messages oscillated between grandiose and abusive. On the grandiose side, they would copy-paste massive, poorly sourced lists of purported horrors, citing dubious evidence that claimed circumcision caused everything from brain rewiring and PTSD to permanent psychological damage. Conversely, their abusive side was reserved for anyone who pushed back, resorting to outright misogyny. They frequently dismissed the opinions of female commenters, declaring women could not possibly have enough perspective on male genital mutilation to hold valid opinions. This behavior climaxed when a female moderator mentioned having a son. The admin shockingly demanded she reveal whether she had mutilated her child. This highly personal interrogation about her son's status was a severe boundary violation, and the moderator was left deeply shaken. Throughout the ordeal, Alex Shepard just knew he was the final say on all things Silent Hill lore. He'd always point to his wiki stats as proof. Over 40,000 edits, miles ahead of any other admin. He basically told everyone, "You all realize this entire site is essentially mine, right? I am the top admin/bureaucrat of this site and have been for years. I have 40,000 edits on this site, and the next admin has 13,000. To him, those numbers meant his word was law. If he decided the wiki needed to explore a satanic/Illuminati conspiracy about babies' penises, then that was that. He even declared himself one of the top 5 Silent Hill fans globally, implying he alone grasped the game's deeper secrets. This colossal ego just drove the community further away. The minute the circumcision theory mess exploded on the wiki's public forums, it didn't stay contained for long. Other Silent Hill fans moved fast, spreading the word outside the wiki's confines. The sheer absurdity of the Meltdown immediately grabbed the attention of communities on Reddit, 4chan, and Twitter, and it quickly became a massive talking point toward the end of 2015. Over on Reddit, users started sharing summaries of what was happening. One of the admins on the wiki went absolutely ballistic, explaining how he rewrote pages to push this crazy theory that the games were secretly about the evils of circumcision. Redditors who had watched the incident happen live chimed in, tossing around descriptions like insanely unhinged. One user present recalled that the moderator Alex Shepard had attacked over her son had quit, and another admin, nicknamed Alessa, initially defended him. "I remember that happening in real time. It was crazy," the user wrote. Others managed to find the dark humor in the situation, joking that it was the best time to be a Silent Hill fan since like 2004. The Reddit community was equally disgusted and entertained, seeing the incident in history as a horrifying, hilarious fandom story. Silent Hill fans still reference the circumcision incident, and one Redditor even said, "I'm sure a lot of people remember SH4 just because of that insanity." From there, it spilled out of the fan forums and into the wider gaming news cycle. Sites like Rely on Horror, Bloody Disgusting, and even New York Magazine's tech column ran articles on what they dubbed the Silent Hill Wiki circumcision problem, and a very fixated video game site. They couldn't believe such a strange battle was erupting on a humble, fan-maintained encyclopedia. "Yet here we are," wrote Rely on Horror's October Keegan. "I never expected to be writing about circumcision, but it has everything to do with one of the site's own administrators." If you didn't know better, the infamous Silent Hill Wiki meltdown read exactly like a meticulously planned piece of creepypasta or an elaborate alternate reality game. You had this long-time, respected moderator suddenly cracking up, acting like they were possessed by something straight out of the foggy town. Naturally, everyone's first thought was, is this some highly meta prank or just brilliant performance art? But the reality pointed towards something much sadder. It looked like a genuine personal breakdown. The consensus, both then and now, confirms it was a painfully real incident. That, however, didn't stop people from interpreting or theorizing about the incident in various ways. The Silent Hill community immediately viewed it through the lens of the series' own themes of psychological horror. Some half-jokingly mused that Silent Hill's influence had claimed a real victim. "It's almost like he was driven literally mad by Silent Hill itself," one Redditor commented. The idea that diving too deep into the game's lore could manifest as a real-world delusion, making obsessions take a literal monstrous form, totally mirrors the games, where inner demons become the monsters. The probable truth is that the individual was experiencing a serious mental health crisis that just happened to explode all over the wiki. For others, it was a classic case of power and ego gone wild in fan communities. You know, when a dedicated fan just loses perspective and abuses authority. Alex Shepard, by his own admission, practically was the top Silent Hill wiki admin. His identity was tied to being that gatekeeper of truth, which probably explains his vehement reaction to pushback because his whole status felt threatened. Now, for the really wild theories, some even speculated he had a personal vendetta or some deep-seated trauma around circumcision, which he then projected onto the game's narrative. One blog post dissecting the saga suggested he was likely grappling with some personal trauma, a rough mental state, and a very practiced skill of typing words. So, his lengthy, coherent, yet totally unhinged essays probably came from someone who'd been dwelling on this specific topic for a very long time. Basically, this wasn't just online drama for him, an almost Heathcliff-esque descent into pure monomania, but instead of stormy moors, it played out through wiki edits and chat threads. Of course, most of the game lore being tossed around came straight from the perpetrator himself, Alex Shepard. And let's just say, his attempts to connect his wild theories to actual Silent Hill lore were creative, to put it nicely. He forced some truly bizarre connections, like arguing that Walter Sullivan's tragic backstory, orphaned and raised by a cult, secretly symbolized bodily harm. Then there was his fixation on the schism, that messed up monster with a split open head, which he claimed was some deep metaphor for circumcision trauma, of all things. Not stopping there, he even pointed out how some male monsters in the series didn't have visible genitalia, insisting this was definitely a silent commentary on circumcision rather than, game design choices or general monster creepiness. Needless to say, none of this had any real backing in the games, just one guy stretching symbolism way past its limits. After everything settled, the fan-run Silent Hill wiki, Silent Hill Fan, went out of its way to add a bluntly titled page, Circumcision, just to clarify, in bold, no-nonsense terms, that the games never mention it. Like, at all. Basically, the community's way of saying, nice try, but no. This isn't canon, never was, and please stop. Now let's head to the timeline of all this. The drama unfolded over roughly a week in December 2015. It kicked off subtly with some stealth edits on the wiki, but things got loud and messy around the 14th and 15th. That's when the arguments broke out into the open, and the talk pages lit up in a classic, no-holds-barred flame war. By the 16th, it had spread outside the community. You knew it was serious when mainstream sites started picking up the story. This basically put a giant spotlight on it. With everyone watching, the other admins felt their hands were forced. They tried to use the system against the controversial admin, Alex Shepard, by calling for a vote to remove the content and maybe even strip him of his powers. He just blew it off, and basically declared the vote illegitimate and doubled down, announcing he wasn't going anywhere or changing a thing. That was the last straw. Realizing their own rules meant nothing to him, the rest of the mod team had no choice but to appeal to the final authority, the actual staff at fandom headquarters, hoping they would step in and put an end to it. Thankfully, the madness couldn't last forever. After a period of pure chaos, the Silent Hill wiki community finally managed to regain control. According to the stories passed around by users at the time, the rogue editor, Alex Shepard, was officially brought to heel and was permanently banned from the site. With the king deposed, a massive digital cleanup effort began. Volunteers and moderators meticulously went through the wiki's history, rolling back every single one of his bizarre, nonsensical edits about circumcision, wiping the slate clean, and restoring the articles to their original state. On the surface, the immediate crisis was over. But here's the thing about online trust. Once it's broken, it's incredibly hard to fix. The damage to the wiki's reputation was catastrophic. It had become a punchline, or as one article aptly put it, a laughingstock overnight. How could you trust a lore resource that insisted Pyramid Head's helmet was a metaphor for religious mutilation? You couldn't. Fed up and unable to trust the old site, a significant portion of the fanbase decided to abandon ship. They launched a refugee project of sorts, a brand new wiki called Silent Hill Fan, hosted on the fandom platform. The Silent Hill Chatroom Incident remains one of the most bizarre episodes in the Silent Hill fandom's history. It was a very real internet meltdown, not a fictional creepypasta or an ARG designed to scare people. It began with one fan's extreme theory and unraveled into a public fiasco that the community at large had to address. What do you think? Was it just a guy losing it online, or did Silent Hill actually get to him? Drop your theories in the comments, and if you were around when this went down, it'd be really nice to know what that looked like from your side. See you guys in the next video.